Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. There is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about markets. Welcome, guys, to a very bloody Thursday. It's kind of funny, isn't it, that it's happening on a Thursday at least? If you kind of are familiar with the intra-week data of how markets tend to trade, it's funny enough, we see the biggest red days on a Thursday. I wonder why that is, or if it was at all planned. Probably not. Doesn't really matter. Either way, guys, quite the volatile scenario that we had in after hours yesterday with the Trump administration bringing forth some pretty aggressive tariffs, right? So obviously we're going to have a lot to talk about today. Before we can get into it, I'm Tommy. You guys also know me as Snorlax. I'm joined by Tucker, Max, and of course, Padme Jackus today. Yeah, before we get too deep into the conversation, too deep into the charts, right? Because there's so much to dissect after what happened yesterday. A lot of discussion is going to be had about charts. We'll give some longer term views on the macro. I know how exciting that is for some people, but hey, what's driving the market today is a lot of headline risk related to that. But I'm going to need you all first, before we can do that, to smash the like button for us. And I think today for a lot of you, if you're a bear and you printed in the last 24 hours, congratulations. Out of euphoria, smash that like button. If you are an investor, or maybe you were even long yesterday and you got wrecked and you want to smash the like button out of frustration, don't worry, we won't discriminate against you either. But like I said, we're going to have a great show nonetheless. I mean, let's go ahead and get to the elephant in the room, though, right? Which is that the market is trying to now price in, whether it's just a reaction or whether it materializes into, a multi-week trending move, I guess, just kind of depending on what side of the trade you're on. You're going to probably argue that a little bit more locally. But yeah, market's pricing in some very aggressive tariffs from the Trump administration yesterday, much more aggressive than I think that clearly than people were expecting. The S&P and the NASDAQ down almost 4 to 5% today. I mean, that speaks to how extreme the move is. Shockingly, the VIX didn't really blow out of control, or at least it has not yet. Maybe that's something that we will continue to keep an eye on. But at the same time, at the very least, you still have Bitcoin and ETH, I would say, holding up fairly decently. Are they lagging equity markets? Are they just showing relative strength potentially before that bounce we have been discussing? I guess we'll have to see, but I really think, people called it an interesting spot last week. I think it's an even more interesting spot now. But let's talk about it, guys. I don't want to ramble for too long after, kind of this backdrop that the market has set for us. Clearly, there is quite a bit to discuss. I mean, just kind of looking across the board on things that aren't necessarily related to risk assets. We've also got a lot of movement in some of these dollar pairs, basically all of these pairs going lower from a weakening dollar. You've got TLT up 1% today. Let's see, anything else? And you've got the 10-year yield coming down 4% in one day, which is a very extreme move. Is this the top on yields? Another thing that we can discuss today. How are we doing, guys? What are we seeing in the markets today? I'm sure there are a million things to discuss.
Good morning, guys. Hope everybody is doing well. It's not every day that you see QQQ down almost 5% on the day. That's pretty insane. I mean, obviously, logically, it makes perfect sense because think about the companies that are going to be most immediately and directly affected by these tariffs, specifically with China. It's a lot of the big tech companies, the ones that have these, these partnerships with Asia to manufacture their goods that they sell here in the US. And it makes perfect sense, right? We love our cheap tech. We love to consume iPhones affordably. We love our cheap chips and technology and whatever. So makes perfect sense on that front. What I'm looking at right here is, and I don't own any NASDAQ or anything right now, but obviously we have to look at it because we understand the impact, to crypto, which we're all largely invested in right here. which unfortunately, and I guess maybe sometimes fortunately, trades more of like the little brother to the Russell or the NASDAQ than it does a commodity, even though it's being called a commodity. Certainly not trading like a precious metal these days, but what we're seeing right here is one of the more gnarly sell-offs, at least from a speed perspective, that we've seen in the past, I mean, decade. This chart is on the weekly time frame. This is the NASDAQ, or specifically the QQQ, so NASDAQ ETF, going back all the way to 2015. So, I mean, it's a decade. And there's only been a few times when we've been this oversold. This chart right, or this indicator up top, is RSI on the weekly time frame. And then this one below is something that I published the other day, which just shows like percentage pullback from the all-time high. So looking at RSI here on the weekly, we've only been this low 1, 2, 3, which was COVID, 4, and now 5 times. 5 times in the past 10 years. So it begs the question, right? Do do technicals still matter when you have the uncertainty that we're facing right now with these tariffs, right? I think, Tommy, you mentioned this before we went on the show. You're like, I can't believe a president actually had the balls to do this, right? Right as he takes office. I mean, it's a risky move, certainly. But as a trader myself that really leans into the technicals more than the fundamentals, right? I've always been a firm believer that, for one, they both matter, right? You have to look at both, but show me the chart and I'll tell you the news, right? Um, Markets price in things well in advance, and if you can, get ahead of it from a technical perspective, oftentimes the news will catch up to what the technicals are showing, right? And then you get your catalyst, and you're like, oh, market crashes because of blank, insert national news headline here. I'm looking at this going, well, we've only been this oversold 4 other times in the past decade. So is this time different? Is this a good shove the news, or maybe we should call it and I put out a tweet this morning, right? Just kind of arbitrarily. Buy the rumor, sell the news. Okay, so what's the opposite of that? Just kind of putting it really simply, right? If we've been selling the rumor, do you want to buy the news here? Does it really go both ways? I think it probably does. That's not immediately actionable in terms of like, hey, we're just like down bad right now across the board, just start shoving blindly. I mean, I think if you have, a stomach for volatility and are just like cool with it, go for it, right? You're looking at a lot of these tech companies that are down 20 or 30% from their highs, even if they were trading at a premium a few months ago, um, maybe overvalued. I think we can all agree that generally, like, the data that we have in front of us right now is not recessionary. We could forecast that these tariffs are going to spur a recession, right? Inflation could come back. I assume these tariffs are going to cause some degree of inflation that's going to be passed on directly to the consumer, which is going to slow consumer spending, which is going to hurt the bottom line of companies, which is going to, multiple quarters from now, potentially lead to layoffs if a lot of these tariffs don't get walked back. But it could take quarters, if not even a year plus, for a lot of this data to be materialized, right? So how much of it's going to be priced in? How much of it's already priced in with the Nasdaq down, 16% from its all-time high, Bitcoin down 30% from its all-time high, ETH, I don't even, just cooked in the deep fryer, right? So I look at this and I go, all right, all of these instances on this chart, looking at the QQQ here, every single one of them where we've been this oversold has been a period of great fear and uncertainty. And if you bought that fear and that uncertainty, whatever the catalyst may have been, whether it was COVID or something else, right? It's typically yielded some pretty good opportunities. Now, I guess the big question is, and we can kind of talk about this and debate, amongst everybody here. I think Powell's role right now is going to be the deciding factor. Does Powell come out and remain hawkish or hawkish leaning? I wouldn't say he's been like overly hawkish, but like firm on his position. Or does he bend the knee a little bit and say, hey, this is going to cause us some problems, like the things I just mentioned. We're going to see inflation come back. We are going to see consumer spending slow. We are going to see major issues across the board, especially if these tariffs don't get walked down just a little bit. We need some more cuts. We need to get in front of this thing, not necessarily emergency cuts, but I haven't checked the probabilities for the next FOMC on what's the most likely scenario. Are we going to get a 25 basis point cut or not? And then also maybe pushing them to NQT, maybe one FOMC period earlier than initially anticipated. So those are kind of my initial thoughts. But look, I mean, crazy day to see. You don't see QQQ trading down almost 5% in a session very often. I mean, that's pretty unique, I will say. So as a market enjoyer, as somebody who lives for days, lives for the outliers, right? The crazy pumps, the crazy dumps. Technically, it's a historic day, right? This is a very unique instance where you're seeing an index, a multi-trillion-dollar index, trading kind of like a shitcoin. So some of my initial thoughts, not, I don't know how you guys feel, but stocks are getting fucking bludgeoned right now. Pretty crazy to see.
Will they halt trading?
They like to do that sometimes.
I don't think they're
Sometimes
gonna.
when Bitcoin's
I don't
dumping,
think
I'm like,
so.
put the
Not
circuit
today.
breakers on. Stop Bitcoin. Shut the market down.
Only if you get like a big spike in volatility, where are you going to see a circuit breaker hit, in my opinion. But I don't know. I mean, I think
Pull the VIX.
Are any
This is gonna
individual stocks
be-
halted today or no?
what?
Are any individuals halted? We seen anything major
I don't
yet
think
or
so.
no?
2025 and probably 2026 are going to be years where we just see the Chud Jack meme die.
Billions must try.
What, like the nothing ever happens, Tommy?
Yeah.
Here's the VIX daily time frame. I mean, kind of expected given what happened yesterday. Pretty crazy spike. I don't know if we view this like a range or not. Do we view this like a range?
I don't know about that.
I think you can. Yeah. I mean, pretty clearly, whenever we what level are we at right now? Like 28. When we
Yeah.
get near 30, you just have like institutional bull sellers step in, and they've just been selling the crap out of it. So, I mean, this is in theory kind of the inflection point for volatility. And I think in a same way, you can see things like Bitcoin and ETH, assets that kind of front ran this downtrend that we're seeing in equity markets, hold levels and not break down yet, obviously through the local lows. I want to be clear, if they do break these lows, we could get some pretty aggressive selling, but I don't think we see that, without a volatility spike probably above 30.
Seems like this has been kind of your upper bound going back to 2018. So besides a couple instances, obviously 2020 right here, like COVID, and then the blowout that happened when Japan liquidated itself and we had that really poor unemployment miss in August. It seems like that, 30 to 35 has been kind of your region, give or take. I'm not suggesting we'll get there or not. I don't really know. Talk to Chimp Carson about that, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious what your level here is. So, and then you got your kind of lower bound right here. So besides a couple washouts, it's been pretty consistent.
To me, the setup here is fairly clear if you're a bull, right? It's that recession should now be consensus, which in my opinion should probably, if we haven't already created peak fear, you're in the process of doing so right now. Like I said, I don't want to speak too soon before all the local volatility is played out, but in theory, if recession has become consensus, but I think you kind of highlighted it, Max, it's unlikely that the negative growth from things like tariffs are going to be baked into the market and data as soon as, like March and April. So I do think the market will probably see that and have some sort of reflexive rally higher in April, but I do still think that these headwinds are going to loom large on a higher time frame.
Yeah, I think you might just need to see that. Not the same level of spike there, but it's just so VIX is just so coiled right there, you know. Like it looks like it wants at least that 34, right?
It seems like a pretty obvious level. I mean, this goes all the way back to 2018, you know.
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, I guess the big question is like, how important do you guys think that Powell's rhetoric is going to be and ultimately his decision making? How important do you guys think that's going to be here? Maybe it seems like an obvious question, but is this a scenario where he's kind of got his back against the wall now and it's going to be required of him to step in?
Hopefully. Yeah. I mean,
Powell, you said?
yeah.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely could. I don't really have maybe the cleanest read on yields, but I mean, it seems at this point like they broke that pivot at 4.1 that I wanted to see broken. That's a pretty crucial market structure break. Maybe it doesn't go like straight down, but I mean, you have to feel pretty good about the yield top being in at this point.
Yeah.
He needs to address the rate cuts now. I think if he prolongs this, that would not be good. But yeah, I've been watching the probabilities, and they've changed so much since the morning. We are basically now on 1, 2, 3, 4 rate cuts by the end of the year, and it still keeps getting repriced. But mind you, 3 months ago we were on a 1 rate cut for this year.
Yeah, 10-year looks, I mean, it looks like Dixie, right? I mean, here's the 10-year.
Yeah.
Dixie is just puking. We were following these fractals from, I think the green one was Trump's first term and the purple one was actually no, yeah. Green one was Trump's first term, and then this was post-COVID. So Bitcoin bull markets. So we're seeing the DXY puke, right? We're just not seeing risk move in its kind of typical high time frame negative correlation yet.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yep.
I mean, wow, Dixie is just, I guess I could see it kind of holding here locally, you know, like little support.
I mean, at this point, it's kind of become like the market is anti-correlated to the dollar strength. It's a interesting
Completely.
dynamic shift that we've had over the last few months.
Mhm.
It's only temporarily, because again, these correlations are not day to day. They are more over weeks or even months. So it will take time, but there's no way this doesn't get shown into the price. Again, obviously, prices are now very volatile, so people will be freaking out left and right. We are at the extreme fear. But most of the tariffs, have been getting priced into the market since December. The market was very uncertain what is going to happen. Now the market knows what the tariffs are and will be, and it can now work with it. Obviously, there's going to be a first day, first week, first month shock, but after that, most of the bad news should be gone. And again, the good news should be the rate cuts that are coming with the potential of end of QT and so forth.
Someone mentioned, I think maybe it was Tommy, very clearly how crypto in typical fashion kind of front ran this equities dump, right? Kind of similarly to what happened over here in 2023.
Yes.
And I know, Jack, because I think we talked about this on the morning
Many
call.
times, even before we discussed this.
So you can see right here, like equities didn't bottom until over here in 2023, October. And you saw Bitcoin basically refusing to break down, holding its low. Obviously, Bitcoin put in its nuke over here. We'll put this in orange for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin nukes over here. It technically swept the low, but there was over here on this wick, actually, like we did go lower on like Bybit and Perps and things like that. So we're just going to say that because we're not going to count the sweep. We're going to count this as the low because some exchanges it was. Bitcoin bottoms here in August 23. Equities don't bottom until October. And this kind of regime that we've seen before is Bitcoin, crypto, the most reflexive, fast moving, signal in the market, has bottomed before equities before. That looks terrible. Let's lighten that up. There we go. So over here in, August, September, October, we saw something. And I don't know if I'm quite ready to say that yet, but I think it's certainly possible. Bitcoin puts in its nuke over here, right? We're going to count this as the low. Technically, we swept it, but that was your low, right? That was your nuke. And equities, are still gapping down today, right? So we don't know if this is the low. Maybe it goes a little bit lower, but I think it's possible, again, if crypto holds up around these levels, that we do something similar to what we did over in this region, where like crypto again put in its nuke well before equities, right? At least that's the optimistic case.
Well, Bitcoin has been holding up. Even Ether now, like it just made new lows, as I was saying, but it's holding relatively strong compared to everything else, and that's a good sign. Usually that's a sign of things stabilizing. Obviously, we will know until after the fact, but again, we are at an extreme fear right now, and the only way things will keep going down is one of the most brutal recession. The problem is you do not know it until after the fact. And I've seen these situations few times before, and usually at the peak, people keep saying like, yeah, but look around yourself. You have the global world economy collapsing. Everybody is at their homes and they cannot go out and work. That was during COVID. And now people will come out and say, oh, look around, all those tariffs getting implemented. How can you be bullish? It's literally the same story, just different words to me. Again, most of these tariffs was getting priced in by the market since December, as they either were topped by then and started to go down, or at least were top ranging and then sold off. If you look at BTC compared to everything else, it's holding so strong. It's holding stronger than SPX. It's holding stronger than Max 7 stocks in general. So I would tend to go with that, but I understand on a day like this, logic usually gets thrown out of the window, and it's a time to be a little bit emotional and panic. So yeah.
Yeah, that right there.
Or like, hey, 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 hey. And you can put a Trump face onto Carlos Peña and be like, oh, so tariffs.
I mean, I still think we're due for a short covering rally here. Nobody wants to say it after a day like today when equities are down 4 or 5%, but I still don't think that that's been invalidated personally. I don't know if it's like a multi-month bottom necessarily, but I do think that we've got a short covering rally in store here, given how elevated the VIX is. I'm not really expecting it to blow out. Keep an eye on it. Of course, if it does, then all bets are off. And again, crypto like Bitcoin and ETH will lose these pivots that they've been trading into and actually holding up pretty strongly given the move down that we've had in equity markets. But like a recession is not built into the growth data just yet. It will be, I think, later this year, but it is not yet.
No, not even remotely. I mean, we're seeing you brought up the VIX. I was looking at the move index because we're seeing a decent bid on TLT today. I don't know. Those are things, at least the move index, that we really don't want to see, sending here by any means. But I guess if you've got in confluence with TLT moving up and yields moving down, it's okay. But yeah, we should maybe look at that. What do you got cooking here, Max? What have you cooked
For TLT?
Well, what do you have on here?
Oh, I was just looking at, I mean, we don't really even need ETH down here. But just was looking at SPX and then Bitcoin, how, I mean, today equities are, gapping down, like one of their worst sessions in the past decade. And Bitcoin is just kind of holding its floor, which feels to me very similar to what happened August, September, October, where Bitcoin led the drop like by a lot. And I just remember at that time, and we were even together as a team. I remember, I think we were in Kansas City visiting you, Tucker. And I just remember the narrative online was just wait until Bitcoin catches up to equities. That's what everyone kept saying. And like, that makes sense because you see that a lot. But when Bitcoin is way out in front of the dump for equities, sometimes you can get a different regime like what we saw August, September, October. Like, there really isn't another explanation for the NASDAQ being down 4.5%, 5% on the session and Bitcoin's down less than 1%, unless it's just about to nuke while we're on the show. Or this is a peak extreme overblown fear. Bitcoin led all of it and its bottom is already in before equities. So that's just what I'm trying to show, is that I think that's the optimistic case. And there's, given how we're moving today, or I guess maybe I should say, given how we're not moving today, I think there's some evidence to show that it's possible, right? It's certainly possible.
This is what I kept on saying. This is not a crypto related drop. This is risk on, world trade war related drop. But crypto never had better fundamentals than it has right now going into this presidential term in the US, with SEC and the prior administration, supporting all of that, finally coming to its end. And with all those ETFs, while at the same time still having people around the world or entities that still doubt Bitcoin. That's the bullish side. If you had all entities in the world agreeing and telling you, hey, buy Bitcoin, it's the most amazing thing, then that's kind of the phase where gold is nowadays. The fact that there are still lots of doubters around the world regarding BTC, while at the same time having all of the support that it gets nowadays, is telling you, again, this is not a crypto related drop. And the moment this stops for equities, or at least pauses, is the moment for BTC to continue. And again, we one last thing, we need to look forward, guys. Markets are forward looking. As I've been saying, markets been pricing these tariffs more or less for the past 3-4 months. Now the market will be looking forward, and what comes forward, right? At full end of QT and mainly rate cuts. Plus the tariffs are already concealed.
Yeah, I mean, these tariffs were priced in during the entire month of March, essentially, right? Which is why I think we're not reacting in a huge way right here.
They were at least priced in for crypto.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They were priced in for crypto over the last 30 days, it appears. So,
There
Not
must
last
be a
30
tariff on
days.
ETH, huh?
Since December. That's when stuff started to either top or started to go down. Even if you look at Nvidia, it basically topped in November.
I don't know if I view Nvidia's current move as a sufficient enough bear market for it.
Why is my trading view so slow right now? Unbelievable.
I'm just so patiently waiting for Nvidia sub 100, and every time it gets close, it bounces.
Do you remember? This is kind of interesting, actually. Do you remember? So we were looking at this comparison with equities bottoming and crypto bottoming. Remember this gap on Nvidia right
Yeah.
here? That was just like so. We didn't even dip into it. It was just so tasty. I
Mhm.
wonder if this level is the same right here for Nvidia. I've seen a lot of traders, like good traders, by the way. I'm not like hating on anybody. This is kind of an obvious level here because you look at it and you go, all right, you know, range high, range low, deviation, sweep the other side. Maybe it doesn't happen, right? I mean, you could this is down at 90, right? You could probably get sub 100, but I guess if we're comparing this example 1-to-1, I guess there has been an instance where that perfect kind of obvious retest didn't happen for Nvidia. What percentage did Nvidia pull back here? Let's see. 21%. I think it's already down like 30% from its high. Yeah, it went down 34%. That's my only hang up with it is like, what are we really suggesting here? Is Nvidia really going to go down 40%? I guess it's possible, but
Me personally, I acknowledge the possibility of like having further flush down to 90, but I personally won't be greedy to the downside, and I had this level marked for a few months now, and yeah, I'll be looking to scoop up there.
Yeah, fair enough.
90, sorry, 100.
Yeah,
100.
yeah. That's a nice number. Well, I hope that crypto's just leading, but I think we've probably spent enough time on this example. Is there anything else that we should be looking at today, guys? Probably. But
I mean, actually, the Tesla daily chart does not look nearly as bad as you'd think. Just kind of looking at it right now. I think this is another one that kind of like front ran the move that we had lower.
what is the
But I'm still having a hard time being bullish on Tesla here.
I'm not bullish per se. I'm just I'm prospecting some large rallies here before lower prices.
Okay, what's higher prices? Because
Yeah.
I mean, I still like that 58.50 level for the S&P. That like
for
505 level
for Tesla.
I'm talking about for Tesla. I don't really know. I don't know how you'd play Tesla necessarily. I'm not an investor, right? But I've consistently said I want to rent a rally at some point in April because I still think that's coming, right? Like we could be in a larger, longer term downtrend in equity markets. And even still, that doesn't mean that this is a good place to get short.
No, I think this is
Yeah.
probably not the place to get short, actually. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Tesla was down. I was looking at this right here. From the quarterly pullback that Tesla just had. I mean, look at what, and we just had a new quarter, so it's different, right? It rolls over. But for Tesla, this was one of the largest previous quarter, right? So this was going back, from one quarter to the next. We've had a few really nasty quarterly shakeouts, but there's only been 2 other times in Tesla's history where it went down more than 50% in a quarter. So I feel like, yeah, I mean, it maybe takes out the low or something like that, whatever. But what we saw last quarter was a pretty unbelievable shakeout. I mean, down 50% in a quarter. I mean, you'd think that they had major problems. This is a premier car manufacturer here. You see more Teslas on the road every day. Certainly they have some problems like anybody, but I would say probably a little bit overblown, right? But maybe pays to be more of an investor in something like this if you think it's a good pullback rather than, bottoms in, invalidation below the low. Might not be in, but nasty shakeout, right? Nasty shake. One thing I've noticed about Tesla is it actually trades a lot more like Bitcoin than it does a stock. Like the Tesla cycles line up a lot closer with Bitcoin than anything else. And I think it makes sense because crypto obviously is highly speculative. Trades like crazy beta to equities. The highs are crazy overextended. The lows are, crazy oversold. There's a cult functionality to crypto like there is with Tesla. Like Elon for sure has a cult. So I think from that perspective, it makes sense that Tesla is kind of a good barometer for market sentiment, really despair, horrible lows, pretty crazy euphoric highs, just like crypto.
Yeah, I like that kind of bottom formation you've got drawn on Tesla. I don't know. I think you need a lot to send Tesla a lot lower. I think you need a lot out of the S&P and QQQ and,
Well, the
Nvidia.
market seems to like that Musk is seemingly going to be more present with Tesla day-to-day operations again.
Yeah.
At least, right now. It was funny because I don't know if you guys noticed, it was like a day after Musk said, or maybe a week after he said, we're going to have a short but deep recession. Immediately after that, he's no longer a part of the White House operations. Lutnick mentioned the word recession like 2 weeks ago, and it seems like he's kind of been on the outs ever since then. They don't want you to say the dirty word.
Nobody likes to hear the truth or spread it.
I mean, look at these Tesla bottoms, man. When you have these pullbacks, they literally line up perfectly with Bitcoin's like despair moments. COVID, FTX collapse. This one was the nuke that we just had. They bottom on like the same day, I don't know. I like Tesla here, man. I do. I hate how their cars look. God, I wish Teslas look cooler, man. I just don't like how they look. I want to buy one, honestly. I think
they're
great
making them
tech.
better, Max. They're making them. They're trying to make them look.
They're trying. I've seen people put like wraps on them and rims, and they look cool. But dude, right out of the factory, they're just so like they're like it's almost like futuristic and bland. I don't know.
Yeah,
I love the cars. Like they're great tech. I don't know. They just don't look good to me, man. I've seen some cool ones, but the ones that look really cool are like the Model S Plaid, like those look pretty aggressive, but they're like $100K or something. I'm like, I'm not buying that.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I can't help but look at this chart and go, Tesla just got rinsed. I like it, honestly. I do, and I think it's indicative of more than just the individual stock. I do. Guys, stop talking over me. Come on.
Sorry, I thought I was
cutting me off right now.
I thought I was off mute.
Trying to talk.
No, I said I think it was their worst returning.
Crazy.
I think it was their worst returning quarter ever. Q1 was.
Yeah, seasonality definitely thrown out of the window.
This is probably the retail sentiment indicator as well.
100%.
Well, the market is undoubtedly like anyone saying otherwise doesn't know. Like market is quite obviously in extreme fear.
Well, I think maybe the market was. This is just kind of like the natural pendulum swing of, like, locally speaking, right? Of a market that was, for the last week, maybe a little bit too complacent as far as like Trump's follow through. on some of these tariffs, right? I mean, everybody has been playing the role of a chud jack for the last few weeks, right? Like, oh, well, once we get these tariffs out of the way, that's the end of this saga. When in reality, I think it's just kind of, they were a little bit complacent that he would actually follow through, for one, but also the impact that it's eventually going to have on economic growth data. Fear and greed index is at 9. Holy cow.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
What? Let me
That's
check
funny.
that right now. That's crazy.
I don't think it is at 9.
I saw like 12 earlier, I'm pretty sure.
Are the comments lying to us?
As usual.
Pretty sure it was
Fear and
12.
greed. I don't see 9.
What do
Maybe
you
mine's
see?
lagging, but
But it doesn't matter really where the fear and greed index is. Like, the reality is that we are at extreme fear territory, and people, you can sense it all around. You can sense it with extreme bearish tweets with their targets. You can sense it with how people are afraid to buy at levels they said they would buy, and so forth. It's just how it is.
yeah.
When is our next what's kind of funny is I actually feel like in this case macro data could be a bullish catalyst on a lower time frame. When is our next like CPI or NFP, FOMC?
Let's look it up right now.
Yeah, I think FOMC is going to matter a lot more than NFP going forward. Like I said, like in January, I think it's switching from a regime of caring about unemployment data to back to inflation data like it was in 22, 23. So
Next Thursday and Friday, we have CPI and PPI. April 10th and
that'll
11th.
be big. That'll be big.
Yeah. So Thursday of next week, we have initial jobless claims, and then CPI, and then Friday PPI. And then after that, let's see. Oh wait, it's starting to go backwards. Never mind. Okay. Yeah, that's all I have right here. So end of next week, something.
We got something.
You're saying there's a chance.
I really think like the key piece is going to just be vol, right? If they can keep a lid on equity volatility, it's going to come down. I'm not quite sure where it's going to go. I've continually said we're probably like volatility is probably going to carry pretty well this year as a whole. Unlike usually where you just kind of see it immediately retrace back to, like 12 or 13, which is what we saw for basically 2.5 years. But as long as they keep a lid on the VIX, the selling is probably I'm not going to say it's finished, but it should be finished or around finished if they keep a lid on it. You keep it below 30. Because when you get above 30 on the VIX, that's when you really start to see some of these risk controls for large players kick in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember for the VIX, like in 2022, it was between like 35 and 20 for essentially a year, right? And when you get the VIX starting to bounce off of 20 like it was then, it's not what you want to see. But yeah, 30 should cap it.
Dude, I can't believe what they did to the Russell, man. I
was just looking
criminal.
at that,
dude. They came up, they swept the all-time high, and then just Burj Khalifa. Insane, bro. Insane levels of crime.
Like, listen, if you guys just look at this chart and show me how many times we saw such a drop, such a sell-off on IWM in the past, and then tell me when was a good opportunity to be short or not getting long after such a big sell-off.
So this is the all-time high drops. So We can mark some of them out. I mean, this goes all the way back to 2006, 2005. So it includes obviously like great financial crisis and COVID, but excluding those, right? Excluding those, assuming that that's not happening right now, it seems like the area to start getting serious is like that -20 to -30%.
You know
It's
what
never
actually
perfect.
held up really well today?
Rate cuts
Surprisingly.
are coming.
China held up really well today. Alibaba only down 0.6% when they added like another 45% on top of the 20% that they already said. It's kind of shocking.
The chart is telling you.
I feel like China's kind of in that that camp of assets that front ran this dump maybe a little bit from a kind of the weakness it's been showing. And so as everything is finally putting in that last move, you know, you would hope this is probably, I mean, this looks fairly ready for another leg up if markets can find their footing.
Mm-hmm.
But we, you know, I've kind of been pointing out, it's like when U.S. equities are just selling so relentlessly during U.S. session, I mean, it's just kind of impossible for these Chinese stocks to move too aggressively. But, you know, if we are putting in a big bounce here soon, then what sectors are going to outperform? I still think it's going to be China.
Yeah, China is one of the
Japan
most
did.
bullish
Oof.
sector going forward.
Yeah, some of the other Chinese tickers too kind of front ran the dump as well.
Billy holding up well today, only down 0.5%.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I haven't looked at NIO. That's a bag of mine that I FUD.
You have to be the largest fudder of your own bags.
I have to.
Like Tommy, if you look at Baba, it's a clear. It had a bottom accumulation for the past 3 years, and it just broke out of it to the upside.
Look at the
I
Hang
think
Seng.
Looks
more bullish
really
than-
good here,
That
honestly.
doesn't look bad at all, man.
What does CQQQ look like? I think that's the yeah,
China Tech.
Bro, look at the DAX. Oh my god.
It's basically Billy.
This doesn't look bad either, man. This looks constructive. Might
Look
take a
at
little
the
more
DAX,
time,
man.
but
Look at
What
the
are you
DAX
seeing
index.
on DAX?
oh my goodness.
It's funny how the response to the dollar weakening is just to buy the euro or like buy European assets. And I almost feel like, I mean, I just don't think that's going to work out well on a long-term time frame, but it just kind of reminds me of like, oh, ETH is pumping. I'm going to go long sushi.
What is that? What's like the big European index? This one, Stock 600. Is this the big European one?
No, what's the
No, it's the Eurostox 50.
What's the ticker?
SX5E.
oh.
Oh,
It looks like Bitcoin, bro. It looks like Bitcoin.
it does. Well,
It looks
Bitcoin actually
worse,
is a little
obviously.
better, but
Yeah, yeah.
Yikes. That looks pretty bad.
What's like England's index? Like what was the one that FTSE, the FTSE.
You know what has been a little strong is Poland indexes. I don't know if you guys pay attention at all, but it seems like Poland's kind of based.
Yeah, Poland is based. Neighbors.
Yeah, the FTSE looks a lot like Bitcoin also.
The reason Poland is based is because it said "fuck you, European Union, we will do it our own way."
Mhm.
this looks kind of good. I like
Plus-
this with the little buyback attempt.
I mean, yeah, draw the horizontal from May, you know. Like, yeah, that's clean.
That's kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people out there want this. Actually, it looks like we got it. Yeah, it got it by like a penny. Swept it. Look at that thing. Swept the low. All right.
We'll take it.
I'll take it. It counts. This looks pretty good, actually. Don't mind that at all.
Mm.
Macro so good it got us looking at UK stocks.
I know. I was gonna say, well, how does this affect our Bitcoin, Max?
What does this mean for my premier ETH beta?
And people are like, did we not like enough? Why are they showing Euro stocks?
Did someone on Twitter comments on follow this ginger lark Max? What does that even mean, bro?
No, you gotta
ginger.
frame that one.
I don't even what is an on follow? And I don't think that I'm a ginger man. Sometimes my beard gets a little orange when it gets long, but like not that much.
You
I
gotta
don't
frame
even know.
that one, Max.
What'd you say? Frame it?
You gotta frame that one.
All right, we're gonna screenshot it. That's a good one. People down so bad, they're miscoloring my hair color now. They're just throwing any insult at me they can, even if it's completely like, you're a ginger larp. I don't even know what to say to that.
How does this affect LeBron's legacy? That's a good question.
Yeah, for real.
What do we think about some altcoins here?
Which ones?
I mean, any of them.
Let's look at Pepe.
We can look at anything. Yeah.
I'm still tremendously bullish on Pepe, obviously, because as long as we're within value here, like nothing matters to me besides just holding this value, right? We can deviate a little bit, like obviously that's fine. We could even move this up to 70. I actually think that tightened it up for some reason, but anyways, you know, just want to stay inside value and we're looking fine, right? But I think everybody understands, like, you know, we're going to need ETH to more or less hold its floor around here. Swept the low today. We'll see if that ends up being enough. But it's pretty obvious that, you know, when the time comes and ETH shifts market structure to the upside, that's going to be when Pepe runs to the value area high. So, I mean, just main objective here is like, let's protect this value area low. And I think unless crypto catches up to equities, which at this point, you know, I think if it's going to do it, it has to be soon because equities are getting into that pretty crazy dump territory. I think this should be fine. Truthfully, I would wager that this is going to be okay. But yeah, you need some shift of structure here with majors, right? Like looking at ETH here, just so obvious, no bounces at all. One of the worst downtrends I've seen since being in crypto. Like there's no even scam attempts. They're just like, get me out at the next best price. I'll take it. Happy to take it.
Looks like Max. It looks like ETH BTC is what it looks like.
It does.
Yeah.
But you need some shift to the upside here. Like you need you're gonna need some green dot on here, right? We need our first attempt at a market structure break to the upside here, like a higher high. So I think if we can hold around here and eventually move back up above 2100, which I know right now seems impossible, but it's really not that much, then I think you see value area high next for Pepe. So, I mean, I think a lot of alts just look really, really kind of unfortunately tied and dependent on what majors are doing, which makes sense perfectly. But I don't know. That's the only alt that I really care about right now is Pepe, just because of what it represents, I think, for the space. And then also like my bags, cash tag. But what other altcoins did you have in mind, if any?
I mean, I think we go back to the Russell. I think the Russell's more important, honestly.
The what?
The Russell.
Oh,
Like I don't. It's hard to see, you know, ETH turn around until this turns around a little bit at least. Like where would you mark levels on the Russell? I mean, I can do it too, but
let's do
We
this.
have just arrived at the 187 level. At 230, I was saying we are likely to get this type of sell-off, maybe even to this level. Now we are coming here with huge rate cuts coming and all the bad news kind of behind us. And this is where people want to turn, bearish and into shorts. I just am not seeing that being a favorable position to be in.
I have a question for you guys. If we get a ton of cuts from the Fed within, like, let's say 4 to 6 weeks, will the market, I'm going to guess the market's going to reflexively interpret it as positive at this point, given how beaten down we are. But will they ultimately view it as recessionary if we're cutting rates that quickly?
Depends how quickly they do it, right? If they stick to it and just announced, hey, we will start cutting 25% basis points, then I think it's all good. If they come in and say, oh, we are doing 75% basis cut point, that would not be good. So it really depends how I think it's really going to be challenging for Powell in May, because it will be expected from him. I think the worst case is if he says we do nothing.
Yeah.
If he stays hawkish, that's the worst thing. Then the second worst is if he would suddenly panic and start cutting really quickly. And the best thing is really just announce, yeah, we will start gradually cutting through the next period by 25.
mm-hmm.
So Tucker, let me show you this.
The market's going to interpret it.
So let me show you this, Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
ETH has actually, there's been a couple instances here where ETH has actually performed quite well before the Russell even bottoms. So up top, I have the ETH IWM pair. And you can see here that the Russell will go down 12%, 15%, puts in its bottom. And during that drop for the IWM, which is the bottom chart, ETH has actually been able to put in a local low before and pump up pretty good. So I don't know if we need, maybe for all-time highs, we need the Russell, right? We'll probably end up looking for something like this, carve out a bottom and then eventually curl back up. But we have seen some instances where ETH has performed tremendously against IWM. This is the pair. So ETH IWM, where ETH has actually moved up quite a bit when the Russell's gone down. So it's just some hopium.
I like it. I mean,
yeah. Again, we're coming back to what we were saying. This is not a crypto-related drop, and most of the current selling is getting absorbed really well in the crypto land. So it seems like crypto has arrived at its levels long time ago. Now it's absorbing all the fear, because lots of folk will still be selling their cryptos because, like, hey, look at all around, tariffs, blah, 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 same as in COVID. And if the market continues to absorb it with the bad news behind us and the good news coming, I do not advise being on the counter side.
Did you even say thank you one time?
You said it one time already, Max. I've seen the tweet.
I said it yesterday for the first time. And I think that was the problem, is like, I never said thank you. I never said thank you to them for the prosperity that's been delivered to us. But I've officially now put in my thank you. And I think that the timing of it, my thank you has lined up pretty perfectly with the bottom. Like when I issued my formal thank you, the bottom was in. Did you even say thank you one time? Everybody needs to say thank you.
Thanking for the discounts.
So we have about 15 to 20 minutes left of the show. There's a particular gentleman in the comments who seems to want to come on the show. I think he has his caps lock on. I don't know if he knows how to get it off or not. He's kind of a menace. This guy. Yeah, this guy. He LARPs as a cat, but he's not. He's a human. Should we have this guy on?
You want me to send him the link?
He LARPs as a British cat. That's
I'm going to
terrible.
send him the link right now. All right, Catman, let's go.
I think
Link
this is a
coming
good
at
day
you.
for it.
It's a good day for it. Last 20 minutes of the show on one of the worst U.S. sessions we've seen for equities. All right, Chimp Phone, you got the invite. I expect you to say thank you to JD Vance. You're on this show. All right, guys. I would just before he hops on, I want to just say I apologize in advance for anything that he says that may make you feel a certain type of way. His opinions are not a reflection of because Bitcoin, BB Wealth Management, or any of our analysts. This is content that's not suitable for young children. If you have any nearby, please cover their ears or remove them from the room. And with that said, Chimp Phone, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here on today. This is a very important day to me because I think it's the beginning of the end, isn't it, for the United States of America? And I think it's just obvious. If you look at the Great British Pound charted against the USD, it's just obvious where this is going. Trump has ushered in a new age in which the UK is the global superpower. We return back to our heights of the British Empire. And yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? Let's be honest.
Well said, Chimp. Very, very well. So, given all of that, did you even say thank you?
We don't. The problem is, you're all going to need to say thank you to us because we'll be exporting. How are you going to? What are you going to do without baked beans in America? You'll be paying 10% more for your baked beans in America now.
Yeah, we all eat baked beans all the time. That's
Baked
really
beans
good.
and toast is what I eat for lunch every single day. How will
I know
I
you always post about it, and I go, look, you're welcome. You're welcome. But you've never said thank you. So
I like when Chimp comes on, we basically just have to read like the South Park intro text. Like nobody should be watching this show ever.
No,
There's the chart he's talking about. Right
look
there.
at that. Woo!
The pound.
I'm going to holiday back to America. Look at that. I went in February, so I should go again.
bearish retest.
I dodged the Chimp Phone meetup in February.
Yeah, you did. He broke his back instead of seeing me, which is crazy.
Hey, Jim, do you have any altcoins that you want to talk about while you're on here?
I
know you just love altcoins, so
I do. So I bought Hype at 12, and I thought I was a genius. Don't get that hammer off the screen. I bought Hype at 12. So I thought I was a genius, and then I sold it at like 14, and then it went higher, and I was like, oh. So I rebought, and then it got hacked by North Korea the next day, and I'm dreadfully underwater now. So that's the only altcoin I'm in at the moment, and it's not going too great, I'll be honest.
What is Hype even trading at, right? You're still super bullish on Bowden, right, Chimp?
Yeah, I love Bowden. It's such a funny meme. It's so good. Yeah, I mean, it's just hilarious because it's Spoderman memes are so relevant like now. So yeah, it's so good to see it coming back.
Yeah, the chart looks really good. So
someone pull up the Bowden chart. Get on the screen. Get that arrow off the screen and get that hammer off the Bowden chart. Because you know it's not going to happen. In fact, don't remove those. We'll come back in a year when we're the superpower of the world.
I think you could do USD Tucker.
Look, you can't
Oh,
even
yeah, you can do
spell
that one.
Bowden. That's the
Bowden
state of
soul.
Bowden.
Bowden soul. There it is.
That's beautiful. That zoom out. Zoom out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good.
It's looking bottomed. To be honest, though, this is actually a truth. I'll drop a truth nuke on because Bitcoin. I'm going to drop the truth nuke of the day on because Bitcoin. When Biden dies, which could be any day, that's going to send. You know, it's going to put in like a 400% candle. That's a.
I actually think you're right. I actually think that it'd be like when a pro athlete dies, like their cards go up in value.
It's like a call option on Biden dying. That's what you got to think about.
You might be onto something. You could make a whole like 5% on it. It'd be a crazy move. Yeah,
Well,
with like $100.
It's more than what you're going to get on ETH. So
that is true. That is true. At this point, Bowden's basically a stable coin. I mean, look at that thing.
I mean, I'm denominated in it, so you know, I put my life savings into it now.
Smart.
In the hope
really,
of a 4x.
that's good. Yeah. No, that's smart. That's really smart. What about TIA?
Get TIA up. Let's go. I love it.
Yeah, Chimp, you were really bullish on TIA too.
I was bullish on TIA. I'm an investor at $20. I was an investor at $20. I believe it's going to come back. We should be fine.
You love modularity, don't you?
I'm just so bullish on the modular blockchain pieces.
Yeah,
I really am.
We haven't talked about the on-chain VIX in a while.
Oh, get ticker Bitcoin up. Let's go. Throw it up.
Did you remember when that Chad dumped like 2.5% of the supply straight into wrap Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Out-traded pretty much everybody with that one.
He did.
Look, dare I say, bottomed? Dare I say it?
I will say, if there was ever a spot to be bottomed, kind of should be right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sure the on-chain chart looks different. You might have to do like Bitcoin wrapped ETH or something.
Mm-hmm. There. Oh, yeah.
I still stand by it. Like, technically should be the bottom if it's going to be bottomed.
And that's the on-chain VIX. That's the on-chain VIX. Look, it's pretty obvious. Fed is going to cut rates to like 0% by the end of the year, and everything's going to send $1 trillion. So you should be buying right now.
You say send to $1 trillion?
Yeah.
$1 trillion.
Yeah.
Just a singular trillion.
Just a singular trillion.
I actually do think that rates could come down like a lot this year. Maybe like 2%, 2.5% even.
That chart, when that goes past there, that is going to be a beautiful thing. Below 50 cents.
Below? No.
Yeah. Truth nuke 2. Truth nuke 2. Let's go to like 30.
I think Ansem was actually calling for 50 cents though.
Good.
For real.
He's right.
Maybe not 50. I don't know. He had a pretty... Someone shared it. I don't remember what it was. It was really low though.
He's all right. What's the point of buying that now? Like, the biggest catalyst ever has come, and there's nothing going for it now. Send that shit to 0. That's going to go. In fact, it's going to go below 0. It's going to be the first one to be trading in next couple of seasons.
Hey, oil went negative.
Exactly. So why can't XRP?
Well, I mean the utility, right? I mean 10,000 per coin. Payment rail for banks, changing the world.
I've heard banks are going to be using XRP by the end of the year. That's what I've heard.
I heard they're already using it.
Really?
But then I went to my bank and I still had to literally like get flipped upside down and felt up in order to send a wire. But apparently they're using it.
Wow, that felt up must be a thing in America.
They're using this too. They're using Link too, I've heard.
Look, everyone shits on Link, but it does actually do a lot in DeFi. It's pretty good.
It is actually, yeah, it's necessary.
Yeah, but does it need a token?
Low key, Chainlink is the only thing that kept ETH from going to 0 in 2022.
Yeah.
That question right there, Chimp. That's the multi-trillion-dollar wipeout question. Does it even need a token?
Well,
many instances of that in crypto. But why does it need a token to do what it does?
Well, I've heard some crazy, like people tokenize anything. Like they'll tokenize their cat, anything like that. It's crazy.
The shameless shill.
Some people are crazy, honestly. Look, I think everything should be tokenized, personally. Like everything.
What does that even mean? Like what?
Everything. Literally everything should be tokenized.
All right, food.
Tokenize it.
I don't even know what else.
Give me an argument. Give me an argument.
Yeah, I don't even know what else.
Give me an
I
argument.
want to be able to get yield on my bagel, Chimp.
Exactly.
And then I want to be able to loop it through Sui Lend so that I can take enough leverage to buy a home.
Yeah. Just
All
don't lend it out on a hyper liquid, otherwise they'll change the Oracle price of your bagel.
Ooh.
Oof.
Oh,
All right, how about cigarettes?
Yeah, I mean that's the best. Look, you're then tokenizing addiction. Like, what can be better than that?
We already do that.
Yeah, it's called Bitcoin.
Study Philip Morris, brother.
Wow.
What is Philip? What is this? What's Philip Morris?
That's the cigarette company.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Can you pull up Costco chart? Is Costco still chatting, or has it gone to zero?
Costco is topped,
Oh, that's
Tommy.
which brings me so much pain. to
Tommy
say.
wants an entry. It's not topped.
Yeah.
Brother, that is like the textbook parabolic blow off top.
Costco doesn't top, brother.
That is going to come down a lot, but I'm still going to go to Costco every weekend.
we have Costco in
No,
God's
you
chosen.
don't. You don't
countries.
understand, bro.
No, we
we
do.
went
Yeah.
over this last time. You wouldn't get it.
No, we do.
This could make
It's actually,
Altcoin again.
it's actually better as well. It's actually better than the American ones. So
It's not. You haven't even tasted Red 40, so you can't possibly know that.
But what
Okay.
about Sam's Club, Max?
Yeah, he doesn't know what that is either. He wouldn't.
Sam's
know
Club
that.
I actually don't know what Sam's Club is. I don't know
Sam's
what
Club has good clothes. I don't know if you guys ever have
Really?
looked deep into the heart of a Sam's Club, but they have pretty good.
I'd like to
custom
see some
offering.
pictures of you in Sam's clothing, if that's all right. Oh, no,
What was that?
nothing. Don't worry. I think my cat jumped on the keyboard or something. I don't know what that was.
But have you ever heard of BJ's?
In what sense?
Yeah, what are you doing?
The wholesale store.
Oh right. No, I've not heard of them.
Is there a ticker, Tommy?
I doubt it.
He goes, in which sense? Oh my goodness.
Oh, they do have a ticker.
It's up
Oh my
only.
God, look at that. Bro, why are we in crypto when stuff like this exists? Like, what's the point?
You sound like Anteater.
Yeah. Look, Anti is actually the GOAT. I'll stand by that. He cooked. He's absolutely cooked.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great trader. It's just the smugness. It's
Yeah.
just-
It's the way he says stuff. It's the way he says stuff. So it's funny. But he is a great trader.
Yeah, he is a great trader.
I liked when he launched a like hyperliquid staking service or something at the top, and then was like, "Oh yeah, I sold all my hype." That's actually pretty good. I respect that.
Chart looks good, man.
I think the UK stock market's going to go to like $1 trillion now as well. Like that's
Bro,
what it's gonna
we
go
need
to.
to talk about that because it's this. It's literally this.
Look at that, beautiful. That's
I think
that's
you're just throwing out $1 trillion. When you're bullish, you're just like, it's $1 trillion. Like, well, what price is it going to go to? Oh, $1 trillion. You know?
Crazy how the top is in for England.
bro. That's no. The bottom's in for England. That is perfect. That is such a good textbook.
Can I show you exactly what that chart looks like, Tucker? Open up another chart to the right of that.
deviation?
It looks like the Japanese stock index.
It looks like a lot. It looks like even like the NASDAQ before in like 2021, the Nancy Pelosi deviation when she sold the top.
21.
Like that right there. Yeah, that looks like that little boop.
It looks nothing like it. This
Looks
is a new
everything
paradigm.
like it. It's perfect.
New paradigm.
It's gonna be crazy when you can buy the UK 100 at 6,000, man. It's gonna be
You know, the
insane.
funniest thing about the UK 100 is I'm pretty sure like 90% of the companies aren't even UK. I'm pretty sure they're all like foreign. Pretty good. No, that is genuinely going to like it might flip the NASDAQ, honestly. That's not even a controversial opinion. Did you see? I missed the start. Did you guys talk about how they calculate the tariffs? Have you seen that?
I'm pretty sure they used AI.
Yeah, they did. It's bro. We've got the first like digital shadow president. Like that's insane.
Dude, kind of alpha in that though. If you can just get ahead of like the questions they're going to be asking and trying to figure out, then you can figure out their policy before it's public. If they're actually using Chat GPT.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can poison. You can like poison the data that the LLMs are trained on and make them answer what you want. That's actually a crazy alpha move right there. We should be putting resources into that.
Yeah, we honestly should.
Grok is president. True.
Unironically, we're kind of seeing that if they're actually using AI.
Bro, I guarantee, bro, everyone's using AI all the time. Like it's only a matter of time before some crazy shit happens.
It's gonna get exposed. Like there's gonna be some mistake that's made, and it's gonna be because somebody was messing with AI, like forecasting the questions that an administration was going to ask.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna get. It's like when people would mess with the Wikipedia pages.
Yeah.
And then someone would like write just the most ridiculous essay in school, and the teacher was like, "I went on there and I changed it, knowing you'd use Wikipedia, which I said you couldn't use as a source." Something's gonna happen like that. They're gonna make some colossal mistake.
Wait, Max, did your teachers do that?
Yeah, they wouldn't let us use Wikipedia.
So they would go on there and change it?
Yeah. I
That's
had a teacher
insane.
that is like middle school or might have been like 9th grade, maybe. And she would go on there, wouldn't tell us about it, and she would mess up all the information on Wikipedia because anybody can change it. So it was just like close to looking right, but it was like made up, right? So then these kids would write these essays, use Wikipedia, and they would just have like her garbage that she messed the page up with in there. And then she'd be like, "So who used Wikipedia?" And no one would fess up. And she'd be like, "So when I said that like Abraham Lincoln was like 6'10", he was tall, but he wasn't 6'10", and you put that in your essay, I knew that you got that from Wikipedia. I made that up. You cheated. 0."
That's great.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, I guess kind of like the new or the old age version of. I mean, right now, if anybody uses Chat GPT, it seems like in college there are a few professors that will like just put the hammer down.
Bro, everyone is using. I'm so happy I'm not in college. Everyone's using ChatGPT, and I'd be using that shit like no tomorrow if I was in.
Can you imagine how
it's
easy
kinda
school would
sad,
have been with AI?
No, it's not sad. Who gives a? It's going to get more and more
because
important.
nobody's learning anything.
But we don't need to because the AI is learning. Who cares? Just embrace it.
Let me ask you this, though, Tom.
No. I've got to drop 2 truth nukes in a row. Okay, you've got to take the first one before I get to the second one, though. Okay. Number 1, we're going to live to 1,000 years old. Okay, that's true. Okay, so no one dispute that. In 100 years' time, there'll be an AI president. Truth nuke. There's double truth nuke right there.
I mean, I don't know if I agree with the first one in the literal sense, but I do agree that we're going to live way longer than previous humans, our generation. Yeah. So everybody just kind of like prepping for retirement at like 60 or 65, that's our age, kind of needs to recalibrate some time horizons, in my opinion. But AI president, I think you've been watching too much Futurama.
No, 100 years time, AI president. And there'll be like AI rights and stuff, and whether they're human. Like,
there will be a lot of that because I'm telling you, one of the first things that people are going to do, because people are sick, man. People are sick in the head. What they're going to do is they're going to build these robots, and guess what? The first thing they're going to do with these AI robots is take one guess.
Have sex with them. That's me.
Yes, that's going to be the first thing that they do with these fucking AI robots, beyond anything, because people are sick. Yeah. So what's going to happen is there's going to be all these like movements, because these things are going to think that they're conscious, and they're going to be like, the person hit me, and like, you know, it shoved me in the closet. It's going to be like,
conscious, Max.
It's going to be crazy, man. And then there's going to be all these groups fighting for like AI rights and all this stuff. Dude, it's going to get really weird. And like, we're going to see that in our lifetime. It's going to be in like 20 or 30 years when these things are damn near indistinguishable from humans. And they're going to get abused, beyond abused, man. It's going to be like slave labor, like sex slaves. It's going to be horrible. I'm telling you. We are heading towards that.
Future. Can't wait. I'll be the first one in line to have sex with a robot.
Oh. No.
Is that too far for this show?
Right,
Do you
right,
guys
at
think-
the, right at the 1 hour 20-minute mark too. That's that was wow.
I knew that was going to trigger the cue to end the show.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. You know what? We're gonna just wrap it up here. We're not gonna do the product shill today. That was where we're gonna end it. Guys, check out the BB terminal, link in the description below. It's pretty epic. Like I said, I'm sorry in advance for anything that you heard today that may have made you feel uncomfortable from Chimp, but that's just Chimp, man. Chimp's our guy. So we wish him the best of luck with his future AI robot endeavors. And guys, thanks for tuning in. Leave us a like before you go, and we will be back tomorrow for another episode of Market Check brought to you by BB. Thanks so much for tuning in. Everybody stay safe.